Thank you. Good morning, everyone. The time being 9:01 a.m. on Wednesday, August 27th, I'd like to call the King County Finance and Budget Committee meeting to order. Clerk, please do the roll call.
Juby,
Juby here.
Lewis. Surges. Pepe,
Be here.
Leonard,
Leonard here.
Berman,
Roth is here.
Okay, we have an in-person quorum. Thank you very much. And we would also like to ask for your approval, if there's no dissent on this, to add Mr. Berman to our rolls and also add Mr. Surges as in-person person. Any objection to Mr. Berman joining us? Okay, he will be joining us and being able to vote. He qualifies to vote. So we'll move on from there. The approval of the minutes, I need
That be asked for unanimous consent.
for the meetings of July 23rd and July 30th of this
Correct.
year. Okay, any objection from anyone? Seeing none, the minutes are approved. Thank you very much. Under public comment, we have two speakers. The first person to speak is Denise Theobald.
Good morning. Ooh, there we go. Sorry, guys. Hello. Hello. Morning. Morning. Well, we are here and it's tax week again. And like clockwork, the fear mongering about the tax boogeyman starts. Once again, Treasurer Chris Lawson and his allies, Kane County Speaks, are handing out flyers blaming Madam Chair and this Democratic board for everybody's high taxes. So let's be real for a minute. Yes, taxes have gone up for many people, but those increases don't come from this board at all, from this board alone. They come for all taxing bodies, schools, towns, park districts, fire districts, the whole list. Kane County government gets less than 4% of your property tax bill. That's it. And out of that 4%, over 70% is already spoken for, mandated by the state, public safety, the court, state's attorney, etc. To suggest that this board is the reason your taxes are going up across the board is just not honest. And that's what the flyer insinuates. Think about it this way. If your tax bill is $10,000, less than $400 goes to the county. The other $9,600 goes to schools and other taxing bodies. And again, most of that is mandated. That's not runaway spending, it's just reality. Here's another piece that gets left out. A lot of people's bills are higher simply because their property value has gone up. If your home is assessed higher, your bill will raise, even when the tax rate stays flat. That's not a county grab, it's how the system works. Now, this flyer claims that this board has poor oversight and spends out of control. But look at what less than 4% gets us. Public safety, law enforcement, state's attorneys, the courts, our health department, child services, sex trafficking investigations, restaurant inspections, our food safety, senior programs, election security, the clerk's office, our veterans services, road and bridge repair, emergency response, our farmland protection, transportation, IT systems, economic development, and yes, fair wages for our elected officials and staff so we can keep good, talented people working in this community to keep things running smoothly. I'm sure we can all agree on that. That's a lot for your 4% of your tax bill. Our county tax rate has held steady for 12 years, but costs have gone up, inflation, incredibly high tariffs, funding cuts and freezes of already allocated monies from the federal government, especially for police, veterans care, healthcare, education, and food assistance. That all shifts the burden to the counties. Meanwhile, every other taxing body around us has continually made small CPI adjustments to keep up with inflation. Kane County hasn't adjusted for the CPI adjustment in 14 years. That's part of why we're feeling the squeeze today. It's just a small increment. So when I see these flyers, I don't see facts. I see politics and attacks without solutions. But many wonder if it's really solutions you want or to look for blame on this board for political reasons. And I and many others find that very sad.
Thank you very much. Speaker is Janine Meyer.
Good morning. We're here again about the county budget shortfall. I have heard discussions that you're thinking of taking 4 million out of the capital spending fund. That fund is not extra money sitting around. It's dedicated to long-term capital needs: roads, bridges, building repairs, equipment replacement, technology upgrades. These are the backbone investments that keep county government functioning and protect taxpayers from costly breakdowns later. When this fund was created, it was meant to provide stability and ensure that critical infrastructure would never be neglected. In fact, under Chairman Chris Lawson's leadership, a citizen once got up here and falsely complained that the county wouldn't maintain projects supported by the fund. Ironically, now we're talking about raiding that very fund, not because the fund is unnecessary, but because the general fund has been mismanaged and overspent. This is exactly what the capital spending fund was designed to prevent: the temptation to raid it in times of fiscal crisis. Once you set that precedent, it will happen again and again, and suddenly the county won't have the reserves needed to keep up the buildings, roads, and systems. That means deferred maintenance, emergency repairs, and larger bills down the road. In other words, this is a short-term fix, creating a long-term liability. The responsible course is not to weaken a fund that protects taxpayers, but to restore fiscal discipline where overspending has occurred. That means things like offering retirement incentives to those close to leaving county office service, imposing a hiring freeze until the budget's stabilized, eliminating frivolous consultant contracts such as the recent $125,000 expenditure. Taxpayers created the capital spending fund so that future generations would not pay the price for today's neglect. Using it now as a Band-Aid for the general fund is short-sighted, irresponsible, and unfair to the citizens of Kane County. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on, we'll go to the treasurer's report. Mr. Lawson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Let's see, I did have 4 parts to this morning's presentation to you, but I talked to your chairman earlier, and I know you have a long meeting. So out of respect and affection for the chairman and what you have in front of you today, I eliminated about 25% of it. That part of it was a response to inaccurate assessments of what's going on. It's interesting, the idea that we have only 4% of the property tax. Where I come from, Pigeon Hill and Aurora, every 4% matters. And I don't think that the spending authority of this body should be diminished by it's only 4%, because it's actually $250 million, so $250 million of annual spending. It's a big number. The other point that just has to be made every time it's said inaccurately that there has been no CPI increase in 14 years. That was true for 12 years, but the last 2 years, this coming year, where the vote has already been taken on a CPI increase, last year, the maximum increase under state law was passed by the board. And then this year, a preliminary vote for that to happen again this year. So that's no longer accurate, and we just need to update some of the presentations. So the 3 parts of the presentation today, please forgive my informality today. We are in the last 4 days of collecting the second installment of the property taxes. And again, that's $1,600,000 and a lot of anxiety on the part of the 523,000 people who we all serve. Let's see. Thank you very much, Blair, for putting up the report. Would you go to page 5, please? I'm going to go through quickly again out of respect and affection for Mr. Leonard. So page 5, basically $437 million at cost is the value of the investments that are managed on your behalf. It earned 1.75 million, so $1.75 million of interest this month. If you annualize that times 12 months, about $20 million. So it's roughly 4.8%. Could you go to page 7? This is the, this is the, page 7 is, this is the 2.5-year history of the earnings on those funds, page 8. This is the pattern of the annual interest earned. The year to date is the number that is the dotted line that shows that we've collected so far in this year $13.6 million. And then the solid line above it is the projected. And again, I think that it's going to be in the area of $20 million. Page 9, please, Blair. Cumulative interest earned is now $61 million. That literally represents 1/2 of a full year's annual general fund budget. So, and that's just through July 31st to 25. Page 10. This shows that we continue to be above the benchmarks. Then page 11. Okay, and this is the detail by investment manager and then the total county, and the following like 8 pages are the detail of the individual investments. Okay, so that's the monthly report. Second thing, on the agenda, we have a resolution. I've actually prepared 2 resolutions. One made it to the agenda. The first one, if, let's see, Mr. Chairman, is it all right if we handle that now?
Certainly
Okay,
go
all
right
right.
ahead.
So this is a housekeeping amendment that Kane County financial policies need to reflect the change in the state statute. Again, it's housekeeping. Basically what it says is on that first page, what's underlined is that we're constrained that we cannot buy corporate bonds of the highest rating, 3 top ratings that are longer than 5.25 years. That's what this says. That's the change. That's it. So, Mr. Chairman, with your permission, a motion, second, and a vote on that.
Yes, I'd like a motion and second to discuss and potentially pass this.
Burgess moves.
Surges moves.
No.
Juby seconds.
Juby seconds. Any discussion on this? As the treasurer said, oh, go right ahead, Ms. Space.
Could you explain this a little bit better, Mr. Lawson? Why is 5.25, why are we doing this?
That's you ask your state legislators that. That's been passed into the state statutes, as I said earlier. So hopefully that's clear.
Ms. Bates, what we're doing is we're complying with state statute
Okay,
that says that we can't buy bonds that are going to mature any later than 5.25 years after they're issued.
okay.
Mr. Surges?
Mr. Lawson, is this just brand spanking new, or was this something that said we used to be able to do the 8-year ones and we've lowered it to 5-year?
That's a great question. It used to be 3 years.
Got it.
Now it's 5.25.
Any other questions? Seeing none, clerk, please do the roll.
Juby,
Juby, I.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Steffi, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Berman. Mr. Berman, are you there? Passes.
Berman, yes.
Resolution is approved. Mr. Lawson.
Thank you.
please.
Thank you very much. I've prepared and I offer for the ruling majority and its chairman for your consideration, a resolution that would be a petition for the candidacy of Gwen Henry for the office of executive trustee at the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund. I think that what we all do here in taking care of 250 millions of dollars is really a big deal. IMRF, or Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, is $80 million that they manage. That's 320 times the size of our annual all funds budget. And so it's a big deal. The treasurer over in DuPage County she's been the treasurer for 19 years. Her name is Gwen Henry. Just for your consideration, it's always good to have friends at the table. I think it's a 7 to 9 person board. Several represent employers, several represent employees, and then there's another category that I forget. But I remember about maybe 6 years ago when they were going to lower the expectation that they held the investment managers to. They were going to lower the actuarial assumption from like 7.5% to 7.25%. That would have cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars on our payroll. They ended up passing it, but Gwen Henry was one of the people who invited people to come in to speak to the board so that they kept the standards high. It has so outperformed that. It ended up that all the people who came to testify were right. But Gwen was a facilitator. It's the best funded ratio of any major pension fund in Illinois. Gwen Henry's a former principal of Dugan and Lepatka Certified Public Accountants. She has a BS in Business Administration Accounting from the University of Kansas. She is a CPA. She's also a Certified Public Finance Administrator. She completed a program in Advanced Trustee Studies from the Harvard Law School. She served as treasurer of the Forest Preserve over in DuPage County, and as a member there, played an active role in serving families while balancing the budget for 8 years. She was also mayor and council member of the city of Wheaton, where she was instrumental in the development of the Windermere Senior Living Campus in Wheaton. She was also chairman of the Central DuPage Health System. And she oversaw the execution of the system strategic plan. She also has served as the American Cancer Society DuPage County Regional Board. She is highly competent, but that's in your area, not my area, but it's prepared if you wanted to consider doing that. I'm sure that she has enough nominations already, but again, it's always good to have a friend in an influential place. Okay, that's all I have on that.
Mr. Chair, may I
Yes, Mr.
may I
Tepper.
comment on that? Mr. Lausen, as former chair of the Kane County Board, should normally know the process for getting someone approved to some committee. Should first be presented to the county chair. I think it's disturbing that that was not done, and I would direct Mr. Lausen to follow the proper protocol for the respect of the way that this organization typically operates.
Mr. Tepper, thank you for your comments, sir. I would like to say that ultimately, I think I'm the one responsible. I'd put it on the agenda without checking with Madam Chair. She left me a voicemail stating that she would like to vet this and decide whether or not to put it on the agenda. I understood that and I agreed. So I don't think it was Mr. Lawson's mistake. I think it was mine. So I apologize for that.
My only comment on that is that we are all strong believers in the committee system of Kane County. And that's why we initiate action at the committee level. And then it works its way up to the executive committee, which is chaired by the chairman, and then to the board as a whole, which is chaired by the chairman. If it's all right to go to the budget,
Yes, that'd be great.
Blair, would you put up our budget for this year? Okay, so, okay, if you'll go to the first page, we're just going to run through some slides pretty quickly. This is our team, 11 full-time, 4 seasonal, 1 open position. Upon your direction in last year's budget process, we're allowed at our size of an office to have 1, if you go to the next page, one vacant position is allowed in, like in the batter's box, as we're maintaining productivity within our office. I'd like to just show the next slide, but that's for my my favorite student of King Lear, Miss Juby. But rather than read through this at your leisure when you have more time, Polonius's financial advice to his son Laertes, as Laertes left to go on his travels, it's great wisdom. This takes the place of some state statute information that's sometimes provided. Next slide. When you consider what it is that we do, this is what we produce and what we do with the budget that you allocate to us. The next slide. These are interest income earned. And then the next slide. These are property taxes collected, collecting and distributing. Next slide. $1.6 billion by township. And again, we are so fortunate to have Mark Armstrong as our supervisor of assessment, who's written 2 books on the subjects. John Erickson under Jack Cunningham's tutelage. It is a great team. It's a privilege to be a part of what gets produced in collecting all this money. Just one thought as you're approaching, some of the heavier lifting in the budget process is that with $20 million of interest income, if you move from using just 40% of that to into the general fund to 60 to 70%, you gain $4 to $6 million, which when you consider some of the cuts that are being considered to some important programs and laying off people, if we use the resources that we have, then perhaps we don't have to take some of the cuts that are so painful. Next slide. It's very interesting. A lot of talk in Kane County governance about equity and pay. Our only point as we present to you our budget for consideration is that we don't ask for new program or office growth funding. We just ask for our people to stay up with not even private industry, but merely other departments in Kane County. Quite a problem when you have a person as you're going through the annual evaluations and they come forward and they say that if they just go to a different department and they've been here for 3 to 5 years, but the beginning salary in a different agency is a 20% increase, hard to stay up with that. But I understand how all this works. And so we're just asking, could we please have just what others have received? And this is a comparison. The source is the July 23rd, 2025. So just about, just a little while ago. The building maintenance in the payroll from 2015 to 2024 payroll report, building maintenance, 142% increase, accounting department, 129%. I saw the footnote on that chart that said, well, we took over payroll, which is accurate, but they also lost the vendor maintenance function, which came over the treasurer's office. Emergency management at 181%. Animal control, I say our clients are human beings as opposed to, our loved animals. Development department at 97%, coroner's office at 80%. Our constituents are still alive. And then in the treasurer's office, a 66% increase during that time. So just some relative numbers. And then could you put up the next slide? Final 2 slides are just the proposed budgets. Revenues for 2026, 1.4 million. Total expenses, Yes. Well, I need to take a look at that, but I know that these are going to change with the actions that are being voted on today and in future meetings. And the final slide is our tax automation fund, where revenues 278,000, and that zeroed out at the end of the year by just in the budget process, what we do, the accounting department does. So that's what I have.
Thank you, Mr. Lawson. Any questions for the treasurer? Seeing none, thank you very much. We'll move on now to the auditor's report. Ms. Wegman?
Good morning. I have submitted my report and it's on file. I can address any questions that there might be.
Any questions for Ms. Wegman? I don't think so.
Wonderful. Then I have a resolution, the claims paid resolution.
Yes. Would you please present that, Ms. Wegman?
So I don't have that actually in front of
I
me.
do have the figure here. What this is the resolution is approving July 2025 claims paid in the amount of $12,099,140.33. I need a motion and a second to
Deputy
discuss
moves.
and move forward. Tepe moves,
Shuby seconds.
Juby seconds. Any discussion, questions, concerns on that? Seeing none, clerk, please do the roll call.
Juby,
Shuby, aye.
Lewis,
Bush, yes.
Sturgis, Pepe,
Steffi, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Berman. Passes.
Okay, resolution passes. Anything else, Ms. Wegman?
I have my budget presentation.
Okay, great. Please proceed.
This is not included in the packet, but I can certainly send it out. We were adjusting it up until yesterday. So we have our mission statement, which is the same as it has been since I've taken office. Presented the information regarding what our office actual budget as opposed to our adopted budget for 2024, our adopted for 2025, our submitted budget, and then we are working on a revised budget that is not the submitted budget. We've gone back and reanalyzed some of the expenses that we've had. So I, as mentioned, have been working on this up until yesterday, so it will be updated with Kathy shortly. But the revised budget is what I will be submitting to the board for our actual ask. And the significance there is in my original 2026 submitted budget, it was actually less than what my adopted budget was for 2025. The revised budget for 2026 is less than what my submitted 2026 budget was. So we've gone back and we've cut some additional expenses to be a little bit more cost conscious here for the county. Not that my budget is significant, but it does make a small impact. So going back to our fiscal year of 2024 budget, I know that that's what the board originally started discussing, where you had wanted me to jump back to the actual budget of $282,000. We did provide the county board, the county back approximately $30,000 from our budget as we were unable to fill a vital role in our office. So our adopted budget is what the need of the office was in 2024. We were just unable to fill that vacant position with the money that we had left, not due to lack of knowledge in budgeting, but auditors went up in price. So we gave money back to the county. So my proposed budget originally for 2026 was $396,000 approximately. With that, I had 4 full-time people, 2 part-time people, and 1 intern, and then the elected position. The revised budget changes to 3 full-time, 3 part-time, 1 intern, and then my elected position. We've reduced our wage request or increase. We reduced that by $5,270. And by changing a part-time or full-time position to a part-time position, I was able to reduce another $9,750. That gives me a budget of that gives me a request of $381,104. The other, that change, the 5,270 and the 9,750, that impacts the auditor's budget. Because those are salaried positions, there's also an effect for the general budget because of the benefits, the taxes. So there's an additional approximately $10,233 that would be reduced from the general budget, the general fund. So the change from my originally submitted budget to my request is about 5.962% reduction. As I mentioned, there's a $10,233 approximate change to the regular general fund. With that request, that is as low as I can go in my budget without negatively impacting the roles of my office. Reducing my staff any further, we will not be able to pay our bills in time. We will not be able to go through the approval process quickly enough. We would need additional time to audit payroll. All the bills in the county come through my office for approval before they're sent to the treasurer's office. All of the payroll comes through my office before it is submitted to the treasurer's office. So paychecks may be impacted. We would require additional time from the payroll department to get us the files. We would also potentially not be able to do our P-card business purpose audit that we provide the board, the P-card top vendors report, P-card business purpose report, our monthly accounts payable report, any of our additional reports that you get on a monthly basis. We would not be able to continue doing that. We would also be unable to continue doing on there, it says other unmandated audits, but other audits in general, we would not have the staff to do that. We would only be able to do the accounts payable and payroll. So,
Yes, Mr. Sturgis.
At 62 years old and being let's just leave it at that. My teams privately are so much leaning into the AI modeling and environment, trying to develop strategies where we're using technology to run some of these reports for us and using individuals, singular individuals, rather than a team to review that information. Has any of that, when I look at that last slide, it just seems to me like so much of that can be automated if we simply trusted the process by which, and when I say that, let me preface again, I'm probably not the dinosaur to be looking at that, but I do have the body of knowledge to come back and say, all of those to me are something that I would absolutely propose to somebody and say, is that a process that can be automated so that this is a summary that's reviewed, and then if it needs to be drilled down to see where we're outside of tolerance or deviation, has that been considered at all? Are we even, for all I know, you're already using it and this is ignorant, but I mean, if not, I'd like to ask that question.
sure, and I certainly can answer that question. The county has not updated technology since I've been in this office. All of those reports are done manually through Excel. We don't even have auditing software.
Shame on us, but thank you.
So I can't tell you what that would cost, but it would be more than what my office is spending, including my salary. So there were some changes since fiscal year 2024. Mainly, we have a PO process in place for the county that has been put in place. But the county board provided the elected officials raises, and the $6,500 stipend is coming out of the county funds now. So going back to the 2024 budget would not be a possibility for our office. Also, there's the Prompt Payment Act requires payments to be made within 30 days, provided that here for reference. The amount of invoices coming into the office, while we're receiving less invoices, the dollar amounts of those invoices are larger. So we've provided a forecast of both the number of invoices and the total dollar of invoices for reference. I feel like I've missed a slide, so I'm going to go back for a second. Blair, is there another slide on there? Okay, I'm missing my other slide, so I apologize.
No problem. Are there any questions for the auditor? Ms. Bates, then Mr. Gripe.
I want to go back to Mr. Surgis's question. And to your answer, Ms. Wegman, if we have not updated our software in several years, should we, and would there be a cost benefit? Could we have a cost benefit analysis done to find out if that would save us a lot of money? I'm sure the software is expensive, but would it save us money to upgrade our software?
Based on the systems that we have in place, the New World Tyler Technology products, I don't know that based upon the way that our statute is written, that there would be a lot of benefit by making those investments. We're required to audit all claims against the county that can be interpreted differently. And the processes that we're following to comply are still, they still would be required to be manually
So you
communicated.
still need eyeballs.
Absolutely.
all
And
right.
because a lot of the things come to the basics of, are the invoice numbers entered properly? So
Mhm.
they're typos, or there's missing supporting documentation that really a computer is not going to be able to make that determination.
Okay, well, then you are above that. You need human beings. Okay.
Mr. Gripe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Ms. Wegman. I'd love to see what quotes are. The great thing about getting quotes is that salespeople don't charge anything to give you a quote on what a system would cost or what it will do and compare it to what's there. So it's kind of free consulting to say, you may not think it has an impact, but nobody would buy AI and nobody would buy systems if it wasn't better than doing it the old fashioned way. And I love people and I think that's important, but AI does have the ability to make logical conclusions from one silo to another silo. So that's what makes it so powerful versus a software program that doesn't have the intelligence to compare A with Z. So I'd love for us to look into that and say, you know, what can we do? Not that we want less people, but just maybe we can have the people do more creative and more interesting things in multiple departments. So I think it's worth looking into, especially if we haven't had an update in a while. AI has gone beyond what anybody looked at even a year ago. So I think it's a good idea for us to do that and say, wow, you know, it could save us money if we invested X, and the board can decide whether that's important. But if we don't look, we won't know. So.
Mr. Chair, just a
Right.
comment.
Yes, Mr. Surgeons.
You know, I understand that budgets are tight and you know, we have a deficit that we're discussing just, you know, in a couple of months, but at the point in time where we get away from the common sense practice of you need to spend a buck to make a buck, you know, if our technologies are so far behind, there does come a point in time where you do have to invest that dollar for the future and look at the savings, you know, that can generate over a period of time, not in one specific 12-month period. And I would hope that as a board, that we, and as a committee, that we continue to hold open that door for consideration, just for what that's worth.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Surges. Any other comments or questions? Ms. Wegman, anything else?
That's all.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Moving on to the Finance Director's report, Ms. Hopkinson.
Hello. And if you wouldn't mind, we've been actually looking at a lot of AI stuff in the finance department. So if you just, suddenly I think the world is being inundated with AI stuff, AI webinars. Couple weeks ago, several of us went to a meeting that the Tyler Technologies, which is the owner of our accounting software, they had it for all local users in Romeoville. And they are now offering, as part of our accounting software package, AI accounts payable. You'd have to purchase it. We don't own it. And the way that they explained that it would work, picture all invoices in the county coming into a portal. The AI is reading the invoices. The AI is populating the fields in our accounting software. They explained that the way AI works is AI won't get it 100% correct the first time, but it learns. And in probably two or three times later, it will then populate it. They did say, as part of best practices, you still need a human being's eyes on this to review it, but the data entry could be eliminated. So yeah, something like that could be huge. We are using AI right now in the finance department, mainly to help us put together a policy and procedure manual, because we have none, as many organizations don't. You ask somebody when somebody leaves, how do you did that? How do you do what you're doing? And we don't have it. And it's quite amazing. You can take notes, and if you have a plan of how you want your policy to be laid out, you say, please take these notes and arrange them in these categories, and it does it in seconds. And it's pretty amazing. So, and just generally, we've been looking, there's a lot of technology features in our current software that we have not used. And once you take the time, and it takes time, once you take the time to learn the feature and apply it, it's a huge time saver. And I'll give you a great example. 2 years ago, as part of the budget process, the accounting staff manually calculated all of the payroll and pension taxes for all the funds manually on spreadsheets, and then data entered it. We figured out that we actually, as part of our accounting software, owned the feature that would automatically do those calculations. And it basically cut down our budget process to about 6 weeks this year from months, years ago. But I will say this, it takes time. You've got to talk to the software vendor. You have to go through training. We have test sites where we can test things before we do it live in production. And switching takes time. We have been looking at some other technologies, and I will say the number one cost when trying to change to a new technology is not the cost of the software. It's the cost of the implementation. The cost when you're talking, we were just talking to vendors a couple of days ago related to another system that is going to be, the vendor is saying potentially phased out over the next couple of years. And the implementation costs are pretty eye-popping compared to the software. And that's where the costs are. But yes, I think it would be a great idea to do those cost benefits to see if there are certain types of technologies where we could do the cost savings, and they are greater than that initial investment, over a period of time. So just wanted to mention that. Also wanted to mention before I go to the slides, our 2024 audit. As I mentioned last month, the audit of our financial statements was completed. That report is on our website. We're going to get hard copies printed for all the board members, so look for that. The audit partner from the firm of Baker Tilly will attend the September County Board meeting to present the results of the audit of the county's financial statements. The audit of our federal grant monies should be completed today. And then the audit of our state grants should be completed hopefully by the end of this week. So when those are completed, those will be posted to the county's finance department page. Okay, so the slide up there on the highlights for this month, the dashboard of the general fund, general account, the key indicators. So to date, and it's important to,
Blair, could you zoom that just a bit?
yeah, it's important to preface this, that the second installment of the property tax revenue has not come in yet and will be by the end of our next monthly report. I don't know if that's going to get any bigger. So to date, the revenue in our general fund, general account is slightly lower than expected. When you look at which are due to timing and which are due to other things, the only couple areas that of concern would be under licenses and permits. Our building inspection permit revenue is about $700,000 under budget as of right now. So that's something to pay attention to there. Everything else should be due to timing. And then on the expense side, we still have our commodities line is over budget. Primarily that's due to the sheriff's food line item. This is food for detainees. There's a few lines that are under budget. So our contractual services right now is under budget, where you would expect it to be. And I have some detail on that on the next slide. And then our salaries and wages is under budget right now, where you would expect it to be. And as a reminder, the budget for the general fund, general account was to use $27.5 million of fund balance reserves. And right now, as of today, we're using about 23.9, so 24 million. So we're on target. We're more than halfway through the fiscal year. We're on target to come pretty close to what we budgeted for using our reserves. So next slide. I pulled out some of this is under general fund, general account contractual services. I went through line by line, department by department, and pulled out some of the larger differences where the actual to date spending on contractual services is significantly different than where you would expect it to be at this point in the fiscal year. And then I identified which offices and departments have those line items. So as you can see, some of the larger ones there, medical, dental, hospital services to date at the Sheriff's Adult Correction is under budget. We have repairs and maintenance roads. This is not KDOT, this is buildings management. Repairs and maintenance roads, repairs and maintenance grounds is under budget where you would expect it to be. Elections, general printing, legal printing is under budget where you would expect it to be at this point in the year. So those are just a few highlights. And then the last set of indicators is wages, general fund, general account wages. Which offices and departments in the general fund. This is actually all of them, where their actual spending is compared to where you would expect it to be. And the big differences are in the offices that have huge, larger budgets than others. So sheriff's office right now is a little under budget. It's $1 million under budget, but they have a large budget for salaries, and court services, county clerk, circuit clerk. So those are some key indicators that I just wanted to highlight. And that is all that I have for the finance director's report. And the next thing I was going to go through the finance department's own budget. Blair, it should say 2026 budget presentation for that. Yeah, there we go. It's very short. So the next page is our finance department, which has a variety of functions. We oversee purchasing, payroll, accounting, and then as of 2024, we took on the function of a grant administrator position. So purchasing, we assist all the departments across the county with issuing bids, RFPs. We approve all purchase requisitions and convert them into purchase orders. We manage contract changes. We facilitate the whole process for all of that activity across the county. Payroll, obviously, we process payroll for all of the employees in the county. Every office across the county has their own payroll clerk, and it feeds into the overall payroll. And we do a couple of things different in our payroll department for elected offices versus departments. Elected offices, since they're not part of the county's compensation policy, all of their paperwork for new hires goes directly to payroll. The creation of all position titles and numbers and all that stuff is in our payroll department. We process all the election workers. So new hires, terminations, payroll changes, everything is processed by our payroll department. Filing all the quarterly federal returns with the IRS and the state returns, that's all done by our payroll staff. And all, by the way, all three of those purchasing and all three of those payroll positions are filled full-time positions. Then we move over into accounting. So we, in accounting, are responsible for putting together the county's annual financial statements, the annual federal audit report, the annual state audit report. We can compile the budget document for the entire county, manage the whole budget process. A huge compliance exercise in the accounting portion. We have an assistant director of finance, an accounting manager. Those are two full-time positions. And then we have a part-time accounting clerk, and these are all filled. And then as of December of 2024, we outsourced a portion of our accounting staff. And that is allowing us to do a lot of catch up, a lot of software implementation. It's turned out to be a terrific addition to the functionality of our department because we can write down policies and procedures, figure out best practices in ways of doing things, write it down, simplify it. And essentially we're almost using them as a consultant to assist us as we go through some of these process changes that we need to go through in our department. One of the big things that we've been focusing on is how do we get the financial statements finished faster? Because we wait so much for information to come to us from all over the county. So if you ask anybody across the county, we've been calling everybody up, meeting with everybody, training everybody, trying to get information in more timely so that we can get our financial statements done on time. And then the county decided to create a grant administrator position in 2024. And at first it was where should this position go? This position is primarily in charge of assisting people write grants. So the position was hired, it was put into the finance department. This position has primarily was tasked with assisting the development, the environment, and the health departments. But they, when people found out about this position has also been assisting all other departments across the county, court services, OEM, animal control. So this position has brought in a little over $550,000 in new grants as of today. And there's about almost $300,000 in grants that are pending award right now. So that's what the finance department does. The next slide, last slide.
Excuse me, Ms.
Yes.
Hopkinson, a question by Mr. Surges and then by Mr. Roth.
Kathy, thank you. One of the things that, as a committee chair of human services and knowing that Jamie's in the room and will probably throw a book at me in a minute. One of the things that amazes me is the continued, how do I say this? The notion that while the elected offices have internal control and can do their own thing, there is an overarch that comes through specifically your department when it comes to payroll. And I don't believe that we charge back for those items back to each of those offices. And I know that everybody kind of has their own, each office has their own human services or their own, but how much of them is, how much redundancy do we have because we're not coming through a singular portal? And I'm not really looking for a specific answer, but I'm looking for more of a global statement that it's in good shape, or no, we can do better with that. Or are we so fragmented and everybody stays in their silos right up to the point where we get to the accounting department and the finance department, and then, oh, by the way, you have to manage all the ducks in a row,
Well,
Is that problem, is that burdensome? Is it problematic, or does it just work?
we can get better, and we are looking at technologies. I've mentioned this, it's been in the monthly reports. There is a feature in our software where we can automate rate changes when someone's rate is changed from $25 an hour to $26 an hour. Because come to the payroll department, everything in this county right now, everything is processed on paper, 3 copies, 3 different colors of paper. And one of the biggest problems that we have with technology in the county is access, the way that everything is set up. It's very hard to give one person access because the way that the tree is set up in the software, you would have to give them access to everything, and we don't want everybody touching everything. But we are testing out with one of the large elected offices to process all of their rate changes electronically. And I'm very hopeful that that will save us a tremendous amount of time. And if that works, that will save the whole county a tremendous amount of time.
This
And it will
might, this might not be a specific question for you, but maybe you and Roger. I know that at Human Services, in terms of like the health insurance, we tried to automate all of that. Hey, it's that time of year to register. And it took, culturally, it was a shift for us. It took, we bumped our heads, we bumbled, stumbled, but I think we actually have it pretty good now. But in that process, we needed to reach out to, is it New World?
Yes.
And say, hey, we need a vendor rep that's coming into us, that's specific to us, that we can bring our needs to. Has that relationship trickled down to you to the point where you have that contact person
yeah.
and they're
we
listening?
call New World 3 times a week.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Mr. Sturgis. Mr. Roth, and then after Mr. Roth's question or comment, I'd like Ms. Hopkinson to be able to finish your presentation before we have any more questions or
I
comments.
can wait till the end.
Sure. Okay.
I'll wait till the end. Sure.
Just slap me, geez.
Then this is the budget for the finance department. Has the actual information and then the 2026 submitted. And what we decided to do, again, when we were looking at what does the grant administrator position do? And going back to how it was created and when it was initially created, there were thoughts of putting it in the ARPA department or have it funded differently. And it was, let's just put it in the finance department for now. And I think that's a good place for that position to be. But since this position is primarily assisting development and environment, and when you look at the purpose of the riverboat funds, which is supposed to be for economic development, environment, and education, finance department submitted an application to the riverboat group to see if that position can be funded by the riverboat funds, since it seems to be made for that. I will also say that this position recently, with the significant changeover in the workforce development office, essentially starting in April, wrote a grant, worked with the state to get the award of the workforce development grant, and essentially served as the program manager to get that grant implemented over the last few months. And we're going to be able to get some of this grant administrator salary reimbursed by the workforce development grant, which is essentially what the initial thoughts were for this grant. It can bring in money and then get reimbursed by some of that grant money. And then our budget reflects the changes in the structure of the department with the change in salaries and wages to contractual consulting for the addition of the outsourced consulting. Our annual audit fees are relatively stable. We took the quote that was given to us by Baker Tilly, our audit firm. So that is included. And the audit fluctuates a little bit from year to year because every other year we have to have an actuarial valuation. We don't have to have it every year. So that gets built into that. And so that cost fluctuates a little there. Any other questions?
Mr. Roth, is that the end of the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, we'll go Mr. Roth and Mr. Gray.
All right, Roth here. I have two questions. Kathy, you mentioned closing takes a while. When you're saying a while, number of days?
If you start with the fiscal year, so this fiscal year, we had a huge delay in closing the books because we didn't have grant information from the workforce development department because of all the staffing turnover in that department. We just finished getting it in July.
Okay.
So grant information is very complicated. Has a huge impact on the regular financial statements, our federal financial statements. We are trying to train departments to do revenue recognition better. That's another huge problem. I would say the improvement from last year to this year was over 50%. We still have a ways to go. That's been huge. Our bank reconciliations are up to date now. We're getting those done probably within 2 months after the close of a month, and getting that interest earned posted. So we've been making it's been a huge push to get, and what we're doing is we're having quarterly finance meetings. We call them process improvement meetings. We're just going to have our second one where we have all of the accounting / payroll staff from all over the county. They're invited. We meet in the auditorium. We talk about what are things that you would like to do better, faster. We figured out a new way to do IT chargebacks. We're going to roll it out in September. Instead of all the emails back and forth to everybody, we're just going to do something that's going to streamline that effort. So we're constantly looking for ideas and training people and looking for ways to get everybody to help us get the information on time so that we can close sooner.
Okay. I mean, and that's critical. We need to get more efficient.
It is because, I mean, getting an audit done,
Right.
I mean, in July, it's technically our audit report is due to the state of Illinois 6 months after the end of the fiscal year, which is May 31st.
Right.
Yeah.
And are we, just to clarify, are we closing the books every month for that month or only once a year?
So, we only hard close once a year right now.
Okay.
Getting to a point where we could close every month, it's going to be a while before we get there.
Okay.
It's going to be that, but that is a goal.
Right.
That is a goal.
The long term, that'll make the process, because you're waiting until the end of the year to process stuff. People will forget things and stuff.
Right.
Okay. All right. The other question I had was regarding payroll. Last year, I'd heard we were looking at maybe outsourcing our payroll to an outsourcer. Have we made any progress on that?
So things that we're doing right now, we're using the benefit of our outsourced accounting firm. We're going to be developing a payroll manual, because in order to understand everything that our payroll department does, we need to have that documented. So that's sort of, we decided that that is our first step.
Yeah.
Is to get everything written down. So they're going to be assisting with that. The trickiness is we do have, I mean, to this day, we've had, the county has had an automated time and attendance system in place, and we still have about 8 county offices / departments that do not participate in and still do their time and attendance on paper.
Which
and
adds a cost to our process.
it takes more time, because then we have to, instead of just uploading a file, stuff has to be data entered in, and it
Right.
takes longer. Yes.
Now, does those departments or officials that are doing that, do they pay for that cost?
It's just part of the general fund.
I understand.
Yeah.
But it adds cost to us and time, right?
It does.
Okay.
It does.
All
I
right.
like where you're going with it.
Yeah.
Well, because we need to be more efficient and, you know, like, I think you, Mr. Surgeon, you said you got to invest money to improve. We need to do that in this county if we're going to save money. So, thank you.
Mr. Gripe?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Kathy, very much. I was very pleased to see on a previous page, doesn't matter which one, the returns, I'll call them, the benefit of the grant administrator. So don't know what that position gets paid, doesn't matter, but I'm guessing it's
Pretty much that.
one
It's on the
fourth
slide.
or one. Yeah. So any rate, that's a good cost benefit ratio. My question is relative to the contractual consulting, which they're doing more now. Have we been able to calculate? So if we're going to spend 228,700 there, what that will save us, what it would do for us versus approach it?
Well, as I said, they have assisted us with, yeah, I mean, I don't have that off the top of my head, but they have saved us an enormous amount of time, because they're able to focus on developing best practice procedures, write them down. We're training other departments right now on all of the, I'll give you an example. There's a host of bank accounts that are not held by the treasurer. They're called custodial accounts, that are mainly set up because of some legal requirements. Historically, nobody touches them until after year end, and then people are going back and spending a whole year trying to catch up for a whole year. We're putting a whole new process, training people all over the county that will potentially cut 2 months away from the finance department staff time at year end, because we'll have all of those bank accounts posted every month and reconciled every month. And that will cut I'm guessing it'll cut 2 months because I know how much time it takes us now to do all that work. So that's 2 months of finance department time. Could be $100,000 in savings.
And just as a maybe follow-up, if I were a department head or anybody in the budget process, I would want the spotlight to be on somebody else, right? So if all of us could create, all of departments and whatnot could create here's what we're doing and here's what it saves, or here's what we spent more on and here's what it's saving. I think that's very helpful to give the board perspective on what's going on. And I'd love every department to do that, saying, hey, we haven't upgraded and here's what it costs us. Or
Yeah.
we did upgrade and here's what it's saving us. That would be phenomenal.
Yeah, excellent point. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gripe. Anything else for Ms. Hopkinson? Thank you very much. Moving on, we're going to move on to new business. And our very first item on new business is the Kane County 2026 budget. We have a resolution that I would like to present, get a motion and a second on. The resolution is authorizing the expense budget amount to be used for the 2026 general fund, general account budget in the amount of $124,766.71. I need a motion and a second.
Deputy
on that.
moves.
I'm sorry.
Deputy moves.
Deputy moves. Need a second.
Juby seconds.
Juby seconds. Before we get into discussion and questions on this, I'd just like to point out a few things to everybody. First of all, I know everybody on
Up
the,
Exhibit A.
I'm sorry,
Are you going to be speaking to
we
Exhibit
will
A?
be eventually, yes. With respect to what we've done and what we're going through, there's a number of people that I would like to thank for all the time they put into it. Specifically, Mr. Tepe, Ms. Hopkinson, Ms. Labrillo, and Mr. Fonstock. And I was somewhat involved in it also. The reason why I want to thank them is we have put tens of hours into this trying to come up with a solution. We had asked the board for any solutions they may have. We did receive one solution or recommendation from a board member, Ms. Juby, evaluating that against what we came up with. Quite honestly, outside of the capital distribution, there was about $1 million difference. But in looking at everything, we decided that we would like to use Ms. Juby's expense budget presentation. Although it is by far, I think, the best presentation and the best option available to the county, it is not perfect. There are things in this budget that we may have to alter. But the key to this resolution today is we want to define the total amount of expense budget to be used in the 2026 budget of $124,766,071. Is everybody happy? No. Is it perfect? No. But I do think the effort that's been put in by everyone is very good. I know I've received calls from numerous county board members, and I'll point one out in particular. Ms. Bates called me and we spoke for a while. And I think everyone realizes this is something that we have to do. And it's not pleasant for anybody, but I do want to point out that in approving this resolution for this expense amount for 26, this is a defined number that we will use. Does that mean some of the players, either department heads or elected officials or other expenses, those numbers may change a little bit? Well, they could, yes, but we are going to stick firm on the $124,766,071. There are one or two departments that have not submitted their expenses yet. We've got a good indication where they're going to be in. They will be in line with what we want. But we do also have one or two departments and or elected officials who actually, with this proposal, which I agree is the best one we have, penalizes one or two departments and elected officials and actually brings their 2026 number under the 2024 number, which is not our intention. So we may do some manipulation on that, but the key is we want to keep this firm number as a group for the elected, the department heads, and the other expenses at $124,766,071. So are there any questions, concerns on that? Now, before we get to that too, I'd like to say everybody on the board, not just the finance committee, but every member of the board received an email from Ms. Hopkinson on August 23rd. I think that really explained where we're at and what we're looking to do. And included in this resolution is Exhibit A, which shows specifically what we're looking to do for each and every department and elected official and other expense, with the understanding that we're going to use that total number, but we may massage or move some of the numbers a little bit for departments and or elected officials that may be under the 2024 budget amount through this proposal. Any questions on that? Ms. Juby?
Thank you. When I first presented this, it was a balanced budget using 0 reserves. I understand some of the assumptions have changed. I just heard you say that there's a couple different departments or electeds that will be penalized by this by going less than 2024, but we never agreed as a board that 2024 would be our benchmark. We talked about it in finance, and when it got to exec, it actually got kicked back. So that's where we're making that decision now. So today, I heard, between today and yesterday, I heard 3 budget presentations that if we take what they requested, it would be $467, almost $468,000 more than what we're allowed. And if we continue to do that, we're going to continue to creep up in how many reserves we're going to use. So while I appreciate that there are some departments that are going to need that, I suggest we use that budget reserve for the departments that cannot do that without being able to lose the services that they offer. So I do not advocate that we use any 2024 numbers. I advocate that we use the 2025 less the 7.99. And then when we have individual cases where they are not able to fulfill their statutory obligations or the services that the 24 people have decided they want to offer, then we take that on a case-by-case basis. But I can't see from the get-go, starting to make exceptions. It just defeats the whole purpose of having a set amount for everybody to do.
Thank you, Ms. Juby. Yes, I agree. And once again, the 2024 actual budget expense was a baseline we were using as a reference. It wasn't a hard line. In referring to some departments and or elected officials that with this proposal, they're going to be actually substantially below that, that's a consideration that I think we need to make. Once again, the key here is we've got to come up with the total expense figure, which we have in your proposal. Is it perfect? No. Is it the best one out there? Yes. So we are going to use that, but I'm trying to say that this will not be set in stone. There could be amendments or changes to it down the road. I'm not saying right now even, but we have to realize that and we have to go forward doing that. Other questions or comments? Mr. Tepe?
Go.
Mr. Surges, go ahead. Mr. Tepe, defer to you.
A couple of items. First, I want to make a statement to Kathy. Our relationship has continued to grow in a positive direction. I had reached out to her just a few weeks ago and said, hey, can we just get a revenue number that we think right now, snapshot in time, not yesterday, not tomorrow, but today, that we could go with, and assured her that this was based on trust and that I wasn't trying to pin her down. There was no hidden agenda. And Kathy, I want to acknowledge that you did return my call personally before business hours, and we had that conversation. And that meant so much to me because it put me in the headspace that I needed to continue to go forward. Given that, Leslie, we had discussed at length the notion of the thresholds and that there will be specific departments that they're too small and we can't say, hey, can you take one of your people from 40 hours to 37 hours because that's what it requires? We are going to have that threshold scenario that will come forward. And then finally here, if I'm reading this correctly, what we're saying is we're just not quite in balance on this yet. That if we look at revenues versus expenditures, you know, we're $3.5, $4 million off that we're going to take from revenues, from reserves. I'm sorry. It was I got it. We're going to take from reserves, but that we're getting closer. I am very, Bill, I hesitate in putting my name on anything that isn't zeroed out. I don't want to say we're taking it from reserves. I want to say we have made every reasonable effort to get there, and this is what it's going to take to make that happen. And if we're 4 million short, you know, I don't know what to do with that, but I don't want to rubber stamp that. And then it's 4 million today. It's 7 million tomorrow. It's 12 million by the time we get to this. But golly, you said it was okay back then. No, I didn't say that. I've been very consistent in saying reserves versus expenditures is a balancing act, and that needs to be a zero basis. So I don't want to be, I don't want to be hypocritical, but I also don't want to be criticized later. I've been very consistent with this. So
No, and I totally understand that, Mr. Surges. The point that I want to make here is we're locking in the expenses with this resolution. So that's not going to go up or down the total. There may be changes within that total, but that total will be locked in if this resolution is passed. The revenues that we're looking at, we're still not totally complete on that. Right now, we're at about $121,279,553. There's about a $3.5 million difference. Our proposal is that if in fact that difference doesn't lessen, then we will have to take $3.5 million from reserves to balance the budget. If you have a suggestion for us that will get us to a balanced budget without using any reserves, we're very welcome to hear what you have to say, just as Ms. Juby came up with the solution that we're using. So the option
and Bill,
is,
just so we're clear on this,
yeah,
at every point that you guys have gone along the way, Mavis, myself, we have all, John, we have all chimed in to the point where Leslie won't even take my call anymore. So, no, I'm joking. I'm totally joking. But we have all chimed in on this because I believe that we are stronger as a collective than the individual parts. So
no doubt about that. And that's what we're looking for. I guess the only disappointment that I see in this process at this point is we received one other option or solution to the budget out of 24 people. So we looked at what the working group had come up with. We looked at Ms. Juby's and we evaluated them thoroughly. We looked at all the other options that we could look at, and we're still looking potentially. There are some other areas, quite honestly, where expenses may come down. They're not going to go up, but they may come down. And what I'm talking about is if this budget is approved at the expense budget at $124,766,000, there are some expenses because of layoffs, attrition, firings, whatever, that may lower, specifically in the health and dental expense. So but we can't count on that. That's a hope. That's not a fact. So that's an area. With respect to the revenue coming in, we're at $121,279,000, and that may go up also. But at this point, this is what we know. This is what has been approved through resolution, and this is what we know. So what we're presenting is what we know. Do we still have hopes of being able to reduce what we need to use in reserves? Absolutely. But we've tried to look at everything we can, and we're asking everybody on the board, give us solutions on how to make up that 3.5 million so we don't have to use reserves. The positive about 3.5 million in reserves is it's about 25 million less than we approved last year. So what we're doing is we're cutting expenses by over 10% when you look at everything. And we're reducing our dependency on reserves by 90%. So is it perfect? No, but it's the best thing we can come up with. And once again, we as a finance committee and as a county board would very much welcome any other suggestions. But at this point, in order to move forward, I think we need to move this resolution forward to executive, and then we can always make amendments if need be. But it's important that we get a baseline to work from. Mr. Teppi?
Thank you, Mr. Leonard. First off, I want to echo the initial sentiments made by Mr. Leonard. The cooperation that we got from Kathy, Jamie, and Roger, and the input that we got from them was invaluable. So we got a lot accomplished. And the other key thing is that Mr. Leonard and I are in complete agreement with this particular budget. There is no argument between us at all. Okay. This is a tough budget. This requires everybody to really tighten their belts. And I just want to remind everybody of the key things that were in the slide presentation that we gave a couple of or several weeks ago, maybe a month ago. Okay. One, it's our job as a board to come up with the budgeted amounts. Okay, so it is our job to fix these amounts, and this will be our recommendation, assuming it moves forward, to the executive committee and the board. Second, it's the job of the department managers and the elected officials to live within their budget. Now, where we do have a slight agreement, Mr. Leonard and I, is if they begin to come back with significant changes or have not, found a way to adjust their budget to where they're going to be able to live within these limits, I think this board is going to have a real challenge. It's their job to do that. So the work is not done yet. This is just another step in the process. But I really appreciated being part of it and really thank all of those that were involved in this. So thanks.
Mr. Teppi, one point I'd like to make, and then I'll get to you, Ms. Spates, is with respect to what we've come up with, it is not perfect in any way, shape, or form, and it doesn't make people happy. But I think what we have to do is we have to get a baseline to work from. And there may be amendments to it down the road. But with respect to the expense amount, we're not going to increase this amount as a whole. This is the amount that we feel is the proper amount, and this is what we want to stick with. So is it acceptable and make everybody happy? No, but it's what we have to do. Ms. Spates?
I want to speak to Mr. Surges here, who he and I are now members of a mutual admiration society. But I need to say that our reserves are still there to be used. Our 90-day threshold is safe. And otherwise, we're hoarding money that could be used today. I like this because the 7.99% is in the ballpark of that presentation I made months ago for something of a soft landing. Rather than cutting 20%, we're cutting 7.9%. We're taking a little bit from capital, we're taking a little bit from reserves, I think it's a good plan. I think we should move ahead with it.
Thank you, Ms. Bates. Ms. Juby?
I just wanted to address, Mr. Surges, if you can't sign off on this budget, you would have to have an equal zero reserve budget. You would be looking at, an 11% cut, a 10.79% cut across the board. So this uses so the formula all stays the same. So this is 7.99. If you don't want to use reserves, you can put forward something that says 10.79 is what I can support. But at this point, if you're not willing to put forth that number, then this is kind of what we have to do to move forward. So.
If I may.
Sure, go ahead.
The number is zero. Okay, the number is balanced. And balance doesn't mean taking from reserves. Now, I want to couch that, because if someone came up here and said, hey, we have a zero balance, a zero budget, everything is in line, but we think we need $2 million to buy that software for the AI that you spoke of, and we don't have that in any budget, would you be willing to make that investment from reserves? Because we think we're going to, quadruple your money on that and blah, 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 blah. But that may take us 3 years. That's a different question. That's a different scenario. That's a different opportunity than saying we're deficit spending. And so, Leslie, I appreciate what you're saying. Hey, Cliff, if you don't have a proposal, well, I do have a proposal. It's budget. So we can, it's balanced. So we can raise those revenues a bit. We can lower the expense. We're so close at 3.5 million. I am not trying to be argumentative with anybody. I just want to be very consistent that I am looking for this and that to equal each other.
Specifically, and I appreciate your position, you said we can raise the revenues. Where?
Theoretically, there is only two ways to balance this. You can raise revenues or lower expenses to come into.
But you had mentioned raising revenues, and I wanted to know what that is.
Theoretically, those are the only two options, Bill.
I know.
If
but
there's
we don't
another
have
one,
an
let me know.
option.
I don't
We
know what
have
they
an
are. but
Option on the revenues right now.
Those are two.
Yeah, but no, there's only one, cutting expense and using reserve, because we don't have any more revenue.
I'm in agreement with you
All
on
right.
that, sir.
So in other words, what you're saying and I don't mean to be putting words in your mouth, but you would like to cut expenses more. Is that your solution instead of taking 3.5 million out of reserves? I'm just wondering.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Well, and I respect that. Everyone has a right to an opinion. We may not agree on it, but you have every right to voice it, and we appreciate that concern. Ms. Juby.
So if I may respond, I wasn't saying you should vote for something that wasn't, I was suggesting that you could amend this by saying that we will be taking 10.79 instead of 7.99, which would give us a balanced budget, which you would then, by what you've said, be able to support. So if you're willing to put forth that motion, I will second that motion for you for discussion.
10.99, not
10.9.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't really sure. I think we could just say 11 on this
Yeah.
one.
go from 8 to 11.
Right. We could go
For
from
the
8
point
to
of
11.
exercise, I will make that motion as an amendment.
All right.
So if you made it an amendment, I will second it.
Okay. Any discussion on this? Mr. Teppi?
Just so you know, I'll be voting against this amendment. We need to put forth the message that we are really serious about this budget, but at the same time, if we continue to cut and cut and cut by some percentage, it's going to make it really, really hard for us to, in my mind, justify ourselves to everybody else. So I'd like to stick with the number that we currently have.
I feel the same. I'd like to stick.
Berman,
Excuse me, Mr. Berman?
yes. I think we all have to remember this is just a budget. Certainly can be modified and changed, and which we've done in the past. I'm feeling that coming up with 3 million from reserves is not what we've told the voters that we're going to do. And again, it's a balanced budget, but that balanced budget still requires each one of those departments to come up with 7.99% decrease in what has been presented. Without that, we're talking about a $10 million out of excess funds. So I don't know if we're really hitting the mark on this. I think it's a great plan. I really do. And maybe our only plan. You know, we've talked about so many things that would be overall a reduction in force and laying off and different things, but which would be from an overall standpoint, not from a department standpoint. But this is a department problem, and this is where it needs to be solved. But I don't, another thing is that we could have we could end the year of 2026 with at least 3 million in less expenses than what we have. Traditionally, we've done that. So, but I think it's a great plan. I think that we're in some way kidding ourselves that it's a balanced budget until each one of those departments come in with 7.9% decrease from what's been stated. So, I comment.
Thank you, Mr. Berman. I agree with Mr. Berman's position, and I support the 7.99% proposal, but we do have on the board an 11% reduction across the board. And if there are no other questions, we need to vote on that. Please call the roll.
Sorry about that. Juby,
Juby, no.
Lewis,
Lewis, no.
Surges,
Burgess, yes.
Tepe,
No.
Leonard,
Leonard, no.
Berman.
Berman, no.
Fails 1 to 5.
Bates, no.
Sorry, can't vote. Appreciate the concern, but it doesn't hold any water here.
I don't care.
With respect to the original resolution, if there are no other questions or comments, I'd like to take a vote on that.
Juby,
Juby, I.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Surges.
No.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Berman.
Berman, yes.
Passes 5 to 1.
Okay, resolution passes. Thank you very much. And Mr. Surges, thank you for your concerns. I think that you voiced them very well, and it's something that we have to consider every option. So I'm glad that you presented that as an amendment, and but I'm more happy that we passed the original resolution. Thank you very much. Moving on.
Chair Leonard, before we move on, can I make a comment?
Oh, Mr. Pences, I'm sorry. Yes, please
Yeah.
go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, I get what Cliff is saying. I mean, I also get what Mavis is saying. It's like it's not a zero budget, but we also are in a sense hoarding money that is not going to be spent. So I understand from both sides of you. But as far as this resolution goes, and our elected officials, they don't necessarily have to cut up to that amount if they raise permitting fees, which I mentioned early on. Raising revenue, that is a way to raise revenue. Now, we have to be very careful with how we do that. We don't want it to be regressive fees, obviously. We don't want to make it so that people don't pay it if it's so high. But I think there are some options out there to get us closer to that zero budget, and this resolution will not stop us, the elected officials, from doing that. And that's all I just wanted to say.
Thank you, Mr. Pences. Moving on, we'll move to the next ordinance on new business. And that is establishing and imposing a county grocery retailer's occupation tax and a county grocery service occupation tax for the county of Kane in the amount of 1%. This is in all non-incorporated areas of the county. I need a motion and a second to discuss and possibly pass.
Juby moves.
Juby moves.
Lewis, a second.
Lewis seconds. Any discussions on this? Ms. Juby?
I just want to make a comment because if we vote for it, it looks like we're voting for a new tax. And if we vote against it, it looks like we're voting to support losing revenue to the county. So this is just a really crummy situation that the state of Illinois has put all the municipalities in. This is currently a tax that everybody already has. This is just a continuation with instead of it going to Springfield, it stays into the locals. We are surrounded. I don't think there's anybody around us that hasn't extended this tax. And so when I support this, I don't want people to be angry at me because I am establishing a new tax. I'm not. I am supporting a revenue stream that the state of Illinois promised us and has now removed from us. And maybe if we were in a little bit different situation, I would have a little bit different vote, but I just wanted to explain that.
Thank you, Ms. Juby. Any other comments on this? Mr. Gripe?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I completely get what Ms. Juby has said, but at the end of the day, question, is the tax going away? Yes. Are we reinstating the tax to be able to come back to us? Yes. So, I know when I've talked to constituents about this, they're like, sounds like Kane County's adding a tax that was going away. So I love the fact that it helps on a revenue standpoint, but it concerns me not just the fact that we're reinstating a tax that was going to go away, but how this money gets used. That's my concern, is that, it's not a ton of bucks, but those bucks are coming in. And what if we send them over here to do something? If it were to go to, the situation we have here, I'm behind it. If it doesn't, and we don't have guarantees about that, I'm against it.
Ms. Juby?
So may I ask our Assistant State's Attorney, is it possible for us, if we're going to say that says this goes directly into the general fund? Because isn't that where it's supposed to go anyway? Pardon me?
The state sales tax currently goes into the general fund,
Mhm.
all of it.
So does that address what your concern then is?
Well, but I think your point to state's attorney is a good one. Can we add that this will keep going to the same place that it has to the general fund and not be able to go somewhere else?
If the question is, can the county board direct through its resolution or ordinance where the money goes? My answer would generally be yes. The only reason I'm hesitant is because there is state law that could change. There is a number of things that would mandate you. State could decide to reconstitute it and then change everything, and it would override your ordinance. I'm also not aware of any state law right now that would prohibit you, is I guess my answer. But let me look to be sure. But right now, generally speaking, yeah, I think you could, if that would alleviate some concern there.
Okay, I'm not on the committee, so maybe somebody could make that amendment. And I agree, if something else happened, that could change, but I'd love it to be. Then we can say to people, look, the same money's going to be there. That's a good thing.
Any other discussion, questions, comments? Clerk, please call the roll on this.
Juby?
Juby, aye.
Lewis?
Lewis, no.
Surges?
No.
Tepe?
That'd be yes.
Leonard?
Leonard, no.
Berman?
Berman, yes.
It's tied 3-3. It fails.
It fails, tied 3-3. Moving on to our first resolution today and under new business. This is authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with the state of Illinois, Department of Human Services, and the Juvenile Justice Council grant in the amount of $78,665. I need a motion and a second.
Deputy Moose.
Deputy Moose,
Juby seconds.
Juby seconds. Any questions, comment? Ms. Bates?
Okay, I am out of order because I'm going back a little bit, but I would like to ask that the issue of the grocery tax be brought forward to the executive committee, even though it failed in this, it was a tie.
It is at the discretion of the Madam Chair, not this committee. We voted no, or it was a tie, so it
The
was.
tie, so that's
So
pretty,
It's not our decision to make.
okay.
Okay, getting back to the resolution we're on.
Thanks.
Sure.
Thank you.
The grant of $78,665. We need a motion and a second on that, or do we have it already?
We have-
Okay, then we need to vote. Clerk, please call the roll.
Juby,
Juby, I.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Pepe,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Berman. Mr. Berman,
Berman, yes.
thank you. Passes.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the next resolution. This is authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with Montgomery County for juvenile detention services. We're increasing the daily rate of juveniles that are brought in from outside the county to $225 a day. And this is a 3-year intergovernmental agreement. I need a motion and a second on this.
Deputy Moose.
Juby seconds.
Any discussion?
Uh,
Seeing none?
Mr. Chair,
please.
Mr. Chair,
I'm sorry.
just wanted to clarify that Ms. Alves presented all of these at the Judicial Committee. And these are expense increases to these communities to adjust for the fact that our costs went up. So.
Yes. And I would have liked to have brought them all through at one time, but we can't because one of them is a 2-year instead of a 3-year. So vote, please.
Juby,
Juby, I.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Pepe,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Berman.
Berman, yes.
Passes.
Resolution passes. Thank you very much. The next resolution is authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with Mason County for juvenile detention services. Once again, it's going to $225 a day. It's a 3-year intergovernmental agreement. I need a motion and a second on
Deputy
that.
Moose.
Deputy moves.
Juby seconds.
Juby seconds. Please take the roll on that.
Juby,
Juby, I.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Pepe,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Berman.
Berman, yes.
Next resolution is authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with Shelby County for juvenile detention services. Once again, it's going up to $225 a day. However, this is a 2-year IGA.
Moose.
Did we get a motion and a second on it? Need a motion and a second? on
Deputy
it?
Moose.
Deputy moves.
Juby seconds.
Juby seconds. Please do the roll.
Juby,
Juby, I.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Pepe,
Deputy, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Berman.
Berman, yes.
Passes.
Next resolution is authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with Carroll County for juvenile detention services. Once again, this increases the daily fee to $225 a day, and this is a 3-year IGA. Any discussion? Seeing none, please do the roll.
I've got,
Oh, I guess we need a motion.
Deputy Moose.
yes. And I'll
Deputy Mo-
second, but then I
And
have,
Lewis seconds.
yeah,
Thank
and I do
you
have,
all very much.
I do have a discussion.
No discussion?
No,
please.
no, I have
You
just a
have a
comment, yeah. I just wanted to say, as we've been going through these, how lucky we are that we have this juvenile detention facility right here in Kane County that services our needs. These other counties literally are driving these young people 4 hours, 5 hours to get here. Then when they have to go back to court, they have to drive them back there and back here. So it's just another thing that Kane County really, really does well. And I just wanted to note that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roth.
Roth here, I have another comment. I had talked to Miss Oss about this ahead of time. And she got very creative on trying to find a way to lower her expenses by passing them on. And then the follow-up question I had for her, do we risk losing the contract? And she said, the point of entry to get a JJC is getting more and more expensive. So we don't have that cost, and they're not excessive. It's just covering our actual costs.
Yeah, and I would also like to comment that Ms. Ost and Mr. Davis, who runs the JJC, do an excellent job. And it's a program that we should be very proud of and appreciative, as Ms. Lewis stated. Okay, we have a motion and a second on this resolution. Please take the roll call.
Juby,
Juby, I.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Pepe,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Berman.
Berman, yes.
Correct, we're now on J.
Okay, our next resolution is item J. It's authorizing a food service contract extension for the Juvenile Justice Center. This is a one-year extension in the amount of $4,350. And the total contract now will be $119,355. I need a motion and a second on this.
Deputy moves.
Deputy
Juby
moves.
seconds.
Juby seconds. Any discussion? Mr. Surges?
So these are part and parcel. These go together.
Not really. This is what we're paying for food service for all of the juveniles
Was
that are.
the increase for
Well, the
these-
increase, part of the reason for the increase
Right.
is food, yes.
Got it. Thank you, sir.
Sure. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, please do the roll.
Juby,
Juby, I.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Deputy, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Herman.
Thank you very much. The resolution passes. Our next resolution is authorizing opioid response community implementation projects in the amount of $299,999.59. This is an external grant to the health department.
Deputy
I
moves.
need, Tepe moves,
Juby seconds.
Juby seconds. Any questions, comments on this?
I just
Ms.
have a
Juby?
comment. I just want to say that, you know, the opioid crisis is horrific. And I'm just glad that we're actually able to use the settlement money in a way that directly affects our constituents and our partners. And I know we're going to get more because it's such a horrible thing, but I'm glad that we're able to try to offset it by putting direct programs and supports to help people that are, you know, are affected by that. So I just wanted to say congratulations to the health department for doing their due diligence and all of our community partners for trying to fix a problem that it is just awful.
Thank you very much, Ms. Juby, and I think we all echo your sentiments. Any other comments? Seeing none, please do the roll.
Juby,
Juby, I.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Herman.
Berman, yes.
Thank you.
Resolution passes. Thank you very much. Our last resolution is approving county board personal expense voucher reimbursement request. Need a motion and a second to discuss and hopefully pass.
Deputy
Juby,
moves.
Juby seconds.
Tepe moves, Juby seconds. Any discussion? I do have two comments I'd like to make about this. This expense voucher was submitted by Ms. Lewis. I reviewed it as I review all the expense vouchers, and there were two glaring things that really stuck out to me. Number one, she was there 3 days, and she never put 1 cent in for food. So I don't think it's right that you starve yourself, Ms. Lewis, but we do appreciate
Do I look
your
starved?
your concerns for the county expenses. The other thing I found out from Ms. Lewis was that Ms. Lewis, Ms. Bates, and Ms. Strathman shared a room for 3 nights and an exorbitant cost of $100 a night. And I think, once again, they're showing that they're trying to watch and control expenses in the county. So I appreciate what all of them did, and I just want to say I support approving this expense voucher wholeheartedly. Any other comments on it? Seeing none, please do the roll.
Juby,
Juby, I.
Lewis,
Abstain.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Herman.
Berman, yes.
Okay, we're done with resolutions. Is there any old business, anyone? Mr. Gripe?
It's not really old business, but based on the resolution that just passed, I got to say something of a positive nature. This whole financial budget thing to this point. Some people like partisan. They expect this body to be partisan, and I haven't seen it in this whole financial thing. It's not that everybody agrees, but Mr. Tepe, you, Mr. Leonard, Mavis, lots of people, Cliff, Leslie, they didn't come from the same party, but you'd never know it because of the way people are working together. And I really like 2 things from this. One is that leadership stepped up to do the right thing and to work together to make things better for everybody in the county. Number one. And number two, that the responsibility for this, everybody is taking seriously, and we're all about making the right decision and moving things forward. So I just want to thank all of you for that. I'm not on the committee, so I don't have much input, but that I really appreciate it. And I hope the people out in Kane County appreciate it too, that we can be adults and we can work together to get things done. And then the second thing I'll say is about what Anita and Cheryl and Mavis did proves that even if you get money allocated, you don't have to spend it all. And that's a very important lesson for everybody in the county. So the leadership of you guys, and that's a plural, you guys, to step forward is impressive. And I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gripe, Mr. Surges, and then Ms. Bates.
Just quickly, John, and again, I appreciate the candor that everybody has and the compassion. We are passionate people, or we wouldn't be here. We don't get paid a great amount of money to give of our time and away from our businesses, our families, and to come and we definitely don't all get along or see things the exact same way, but we treat each other with respect. I've never had a foul word with Anita. Mavis and I are polar opposites on some things, and we call each other at 9:30 at night. Leslie was kind as I said, I don't get it. Could you walk me through it a third time? And she said, but I've already explained it 3 times to you. And you know what? I appreciate that because again, we are stronger as a collective than we are singular. And I so enjoy this group. And John, it has not been a partisan relationship, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Surges. Ms. Bates?
I just want to say thank you again for everybody's hard work on the budget. I know Bill and Vern spent weeks and weeks and weeks on this. Leslie, you added your expertise as well. And I tried to do my part as everybody did. So yay. Kudos.
Thank you very much. Any other comments, concerns, questions?
Just it was 5 times. I had to explain it to him, not 3.
You one more, so.
Let's
Cool. We were cool about it, but yeah.
She said hug fest, so come on.
Every now and then you have to give a dog a bone. So we're going to go with 3 times. Okay, moving on. I need a unanimous consent motion
Yes,
for
for
reports.
unanimous consent to place reports on file.
Any objection? Seeing none, the reports are placed on file. I have no comments to make. There's unfortunately no need for executive session. today.
Darn.
So I need a motion and second to adjourn.
Lewis motions.
Moves, Juby seconds, all in favor.